Hi Freddie, thanks so much for joining me today on the Oxbridge Formula. Can you maybe introduce yourself and tell me what college you go to?
Hi everyone, I'm Freddie. I'm a now second year philosophy and theology undergraduate at Jesus. I'm from London, northwest London. I'm of mixed heritage as well. My mum is Chinese with Caribbean ancestry. My dad's Australian. And I'm actually not the first person in my family to actually go to Oxbridge, but I am the first on my mum's side of the family, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, that's me.
For more information on Oxbridge colleges, subjects, and to get help with the application process, visit oxbridgeformula.co.uk. Click subscribe and ring the notification icon to be notified when we release new content.
So Freddie, can you maybe tell a bit about your application process and why you decided to choose Oxford over Cambridge as a university?
So I actually applied twice. The first time I applied to Oxford, I didn't get in, but I got enough of a chip on my shoulder to reapply. The reason why I chose Oxford, wanted to apply in the first place, was because I wanted to be in an environment where I felt that I was being challenged. When I was at school, like I found certain subjects where like it was relatively straightforward to not be that enjoyable. I think the subject I found most interesting and most fun was English because I was just way out of my depth and I was surrounded by people who were so much more intelligent than me, and I was learning so much more as a result, and I could see myself progressing. And I knew that if I wanted to study philosophy to like a really high level, then Oxford was the way to go. And I was right. When I got here, it was so hard, and it still is hard, but I actually like that challenge because I actually feel like I'm learning a lot. And I also wanted to apply here because of like the community and like the people you're around. Everyone's really engaging, everyone's really intelligent, and there's always like a conversation that's kind of intellectual going on, which is something that I always want to engage in, as well as having just so many opportunities and options to pursue academic interests outside of your own course. I chose Oxford over Cambridge because Oxford, at least in the image I had of Oxford in my mind, was that it was a bit more social than Cambridge. So like there was more like of a kind of scene for like going out and partying, as well as like people just being generally like more kind of outgoing and a bit more just, I don't know, it struck me as a more of an extroverted place. I did go around both. I think Cambridge is actually prettier than Oxford, so if your thing's aesthetics, then maybe Oxford isn't one, but like they're both beautiful places. But yeah, for me, it was just Oxford seemed to be the one for me in terms of socially, and also I had like someone very close to me went to Oxford before me, like a few years before, but graduated before I came. So I'd visited them there. So I think I had some sort of like mental imaging of like I could just see myself there, more so than in Cambridge.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I applied for Oxford for exactly the same kind of reasons. Because I had no idea what either of the places were like because I didn't really know anyone there. And I kind
Yeah.
of thought that Oxford would just seem more social, basically. So did you apply for philosophy first time around, and did you also apply for Jesus College?
I applied for philosophy and psychology the first time round, and then I changed to philosophy and theology the second time. The first time I applied, I was a little bit cocky, to be honest with you. I thought I'd get in. And I applied for psychology, which I didn't know a lot about, except for like stuff that I like self-educated on.
Yeah,
Whereas a lot of the people that I was competing against essentially were people who'd done like psychology A level, and so were in a lot more in like a position, like a way more educated position in interviews, and my lack of knowledge was severely exposed. And I originally applied to Worcester, and to be honest with you, the application to colleges is very arbitrary. I think when you do it, like you just kind of choose one on a whim,
yeah,
like whichever one you might have had the like privilege of being able to actually like go around there on like an open day and stuff. But I didn't even go around Worcester on the open day. I just heard from mates that it was like big and cool, but I didn't get in there, and then I decided to apply to Jesus because of its location. So Jesus is like right in the centre of Oxford. It's just off Cornmarket Street. It's probably one of the best located colleges, I think, if
yeah,
not
I
the
agree.
best. And I applied there because I'd heard it had a reputation for being really friendly, and for also being really outgoing as well. So like really strong community sense, really great location, quite outgoing. It is a smaller college, but I thought I actually would prefer that, because I like the idea of being able to kind of like know everybody in and around college, to not have any like strangers or whatever. And I really like the sense of like a tight knit social community.
Yeah, do you think that ended up being the case, that you liked that you knew everyone, or do you kind of retrospectively think you would have preferred a bigger college?
There's always people you're not going to know, but I love Jesus. I genuinely think that my experience of Oxford would be so different if I didn't go to this college. Like, I can only describe it as having like lucked out. I mean, I know other people who have not that many friends in college, but like are really like extroverted, for instance, and like have loads of friends outside. It hasn't stopped their social life, but it definitely gives them a very different experience. Like they're kind of quite nomadic, whereas like I feel very centered and rooted in college. In fact, I rarely ever actually leave college to go out, because most of my friends come to see us here because we have so many friends around. Like I've got 5 really close friends, actually maybe more actually, for like 8 really good friends in college, which is amazing, and then good friends outside as well. So it's like such a social hub. But yeah.
I mean, do you think that's also an intercollegiate thing? Like, do you think that extends beyond just your year group at Jesus College?
Well, the year above me is also really tight knit. I don't really, the third year is less so. So kind of it's clearly a lottery, and I think it's probably the case of all colleges, is that sometimes you'll get a year. And like, I'm talking from a very personal perspective. I'm sure there's other people who in different groups might not feel as closely connected to Jesus, or for example, might feel exactly the same, that they've got such a tight knit group, but we operate in different like friendship groups, or different circles, etc. I don't think that there's actually anything severely limiting about like being in like just being assigned to any college. Like there's always going to be amazing people wherever you go. And to be honest, like it's the world's your oyster. Like you can decide how much you want to associate with like things outside, or whether you just kind of want to stay internal.
Yeah,
and I just like you get such a mix. I mean, I know a lot of people at Brasenose and they're amazing, but they all just want to like chill with their own people, like with their own college. Whereas like myself and yourself, like we go out a lot, and we often like have friends in different places and are visiting other places as well. So it's a real mix, and none of it is like wherever you get assigned, you're not limited to that environment.
definitely. I mean, I think like, for example, yeah, just to elaborate, like I met you probably in second week of Michaelmas, really quite early on, and I don't think just because St Anne's and Jesus College is so far away from one another doesn't mean that we didn't make all of our friendship work, like in our friendship group outside of that. And yeah, you aren't limited to college. I think you will be happy wherever you end up going, fundamentally. So can we maybe talk a bit more about like facilities at Jesus? Do you think there are any drawbacks to the facilities there?
Apparently we're one of the better colleges for food, but
Really?
I mean, maybe I'm being like a bit snobby, but I don't think I actually am being snobby. I don't think the food's that great.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah, but people have told me, I think we're definitely not the worst, but we're
Okay.
not the best either. I mean, Anne's is good for food. So Trinity's amazing for food, but like I've heard Pembroke's pretty bad, but they're pretty skimpy on like how much they give you in terms of like servings and stuff. And I have a careful eye on that. Apart from that, I mean, it's typical college facilities. You've got a great JCR with a cafe inside of it, which is open from 12:30 till 3:30, I believe, Monday to Friday, which is great. You can get like a panini there and put on your bod card as well, so you don't have to worry about it until later. Then you've also got a ping pong, pretty sure, and you've got a pool table, nice social spaces. I mean, the typical like washing stuff. I mean, the rooms are quite nice. At Jesus, everyone pays the same rate. So like, you might end up in this room in the Ship Street Centre, which is like really, really nice. It's like a modern block, but it's just outside, like it's literally just outside of college. It's just opposite college. So you're kind of decentralized, but you have like you have a double bed and an ensuite. And you pay the same as somebody.
So that
like me,
you don't have to pay any more for that at all. That's
no. So it's completely randomized. which some people might like and some people might dislike. I'm not sure if it works well at colleges like New College, for instance, because they have a lot of space. So like in New College, if you get a really bad room in first year, you'll get one of the best rooms in college the next year. Whereas in Jesus, a lot of our second and third year accommodation is outside of college. So everyone gets the same standard of room next year in second year, and everyone gets the same standard room in third year. So if you don't get a good room in first year, you're kind of you get a bit shafted.
You have to just put up with it.
Yeah, but I do think it's a good thing though. I think as a policy, it should be something that it works fairly like for New, but for some people, I mean, I wasn't really that bothered by Jesus, even though I was in one of the worst rooms in college.
Yeah.
In first term.
But then you moved to a different room, didn't you? Afterwards.
Yeah, so this is what's awesome about like a lot of the like accommodation officers and like staff at different colleges are really understanding. Myself and my good friend were on the worst staircase, like notoriously the worst staircase, because we had it was like a weird setup anyway in the room. I don't know if you remember it. I had like a prison cell bedroom and then like a slight like desk and stuff, and it was above the library, which is good for location. But then I had like a toilet that I shared with 6 other people, and a shower that I shared with 6 other people. My mate was on the same staircase, but he found it really difficult with his mental health to be like stuck in this area. So he asked if it were possible to change because he was really struggling, and the college offered him a double set, which is like a massive room where you've got like 2 tiny little bedrooms kind of coming off it, like a really big shared living space. And so we moved into that in Hillary Town, which was like the best decision we ever made. And even though we had to share toilets again, it was like so much better just to be able to have like our own space and feel a lot more comfortable in it. And I think it was probably better for people on the other staircase as well to have more, like they didn't have to share with as many people. So like it was good for everyone involved.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been there obviously a few times, and it's just such a nice place to I guess, because it is like having a little apartment suite, which I suppose not many other colleges can provide. I know at Mansfield they have double sets, but like for example at St Anne's you don't have that option. So do you think the process of changing to that room was relatively easy? Like, did you do that through the maintenance department?
Yeah, we just spoke to the head of accommodation and explained what his situation was, and then she was just really accommodating and was just like, if you can find somebody to live with you, we can place you in one of these renovated rooms. And they were super helpful as well when we moved in, because it was a new room, so a lot of things weren't quite ready. So like anytime we had a problem, we just logged in and they just sorted it out for us like straight away. Yeah.
So could you maybe talk a little bit about your experience in Freshers and how you found Freshers Week and how you think that compared to the rest of term? Do you think it was really effective?
To be honest, I didn't like Freshers Week. I didn't have a great time for various reasons. I think one of them was, I don't know, I felt quite a lot older than a lot of people. I'd spent a year out like traveling around South America and stuff and Central America. And like I've lived alone as well, more or less, for like a year before going to university. So I was very much used to like autonomy and stuff, and it felt like everyone else was like finding their feet with it, which is obviously a really daunting task, but I definitely felt like there was a disparity in terms of like maturity and stuff. That became really clear in Freshers Week, especially with like going out and people getting just like absolutely spanned and just not able to look after themselves. But like that's so fine. Like of course you're allowed to do that as well. I guess I personally found it a bit like, right, I feel a lot older, and it just felt a little bit alienating. And then on top of that, I kind of like need a lot of time for myself just to chill out and just to like recharge my batteries. Like I'm a very social person, but I don't like to be around people all the time.
Yeah.
And then Freshers Week, it just felt like there was just one thing after another. Like I had to constantly be at different things. I didn't have any time to myself to chill out. Anytime I felt that I was on my own, I knew that I was missing out on something, which is kind of like a weird, like a very anxiety-inducing sort of like feeling. So I really didn't enjoy it that much. I don't know. I felt like it took a bit more time to like get to know and find my friends in college. But once that happened, like I thought Freshers Week was just, I left in the past. It didn't really matter that much. It didn't inhibit me from making friends in it. To be honest, it helped in starting to get to know people, but I wouldn't say it like formed my friendships either. a lot of people will talk to you about your freshers friends not being your actual mates. Like like 4 or 5 weeks later, you'll find your people with time. But you know, that's no shade actually at anyone who organised it, because they put so much effort into it and they tried to make it as good as it possibly could be. I just think my personality is slightly at odds with the way it's set up.
Yeah, no, I think that was the same with me. And I just thought, you know, for example, you need to attend a lot of talks just in the first week to get your footing around college, about welfare, about being introduced to different people in college. And you have to attend that, and that's draining. And then you also have like all the club nights, which I guess I felt really pressured to go to, and I would end up just getting really drunk because I kind of thought that was the thing to do, when really in retrospect it wasn't. And also I didn't really find my friends properly until right at the end of freshers, and that was just lucky because I was just talking to Izzy, for example, in the canteen about tikka masala, so it was completely random. I mean, how did you find your friends eventually, like your good friends? Can you remember experiences?
To be honest, like I met them all on the first day, and I thought like these guys are all right, like they're cool, whatever, but I was like slightly unsure about them. And that was partly because of like maturity stuff. I found them to be like a little bit immature, but I don't know, I think a lot of guys can understand within male circles, especially when you're meeting other guys for the first time, there's this kind of like jostling to kind of act a bit like more masculine than the other, which is quite toxic. And I don't know, like my friendship group from home, I think a lot of us have kind of transcended that. And so when that was kind of occurring, I was just kind of like, I don't really want to be like party to this, like I don't want to be part of it. And so I kind of just distanced myself from them a little bit to begin with, just to kind of to be able to further gauge their personalities. And obviously the truth is that none of them were actually like that. They were all like really genuine, down to earth people. It's just the environment of meeting new people that kind of brings out these like slightly affected like statuses and personalities, etc. Once people kind of dispensed with them and felt more at ease with each other, I started to become a lot closer with them, especially when like, you know, you share stuff like personal stuff and become a bit vulnerable as well. Like a lot of us I actually myself didn't find it too difficult to change, to adapt, because I'm just used to that after the last like year and a half of my gap year before going to uni. Whereas a lot of my friends found it really difficult to like start changing and adapting to university life. So a lot of our closeness actually came from us just supporting each other, even though we didn't know each other that well, and just like looking out for each other and just making sure that everyone was kind of okay. And if somebody was having a bad like few days or a bad week or whatever, that they had like people to talk to, they were supported. And we did it kind of internally, like we didn't go through like the welfare reps or whatever, but what was really reassuring was to know that that was also there, because they're really strongly publicized on Freshers Week. And I think that's really important.
Do you know actually a lot about the welfare reps? Like, could you talk about that?
Yeah, so welfare and Jesus is like unbelievable. They get given quite a lot of money by the JCR budget. So what we do is we have on Sundays, we have welfare tea. I don't know if you have that in Ange, but it's at 3 p.m. You can request like whatever snacks you want from Tesco's. They'll pick them up for you. Come in, everybody's in the JCR, like everyone from like first year to third year. A lot of people always like work Sundays, like a classic work day in Oxford. So that a lot of people just come out of the college library, walk up to the stairs to the JCR, have a cup of tea with your mates, have a little catch up, then head back to work afterwards. But it's such a nice little de-stressor. Apart from that, they hosted this welfare week every 5th week, I believe, termly.
Okay.
Everyone, I mean, if you don't know about it, there's this thing called 5th week blues at Oxford. It's kind of like an age-old, and at Cambridge as well, it's an age-old thing where like the 5th week of every term is just bloody impossible. Like just get so down. But what they do is to combat that is they set up loads of little welfare events and like little discussions and stuff. I went to one on anxiety and depression in Hillary term, which was really informative as a workshop. I'm really into all of that stuff. I'm really into welfare, and I think educating yourself on it is like one of the best things that you can do to like be a good friend to others, and also to be self-compassionate and good to yourself. So like what they're doing is they're like trying to encourage that as much as possible. The welfare reps are completely confidential. In the first term, I went to see one of them when I was really upset, and they were so helpful. Like they literally just took time, like they had so much work on, and they were like, it's fine, like let's go for a walk. Took me on a walk, calmed me down. And the truth is like at Oxford or Cambridge, you're going to be in a high intensity environment, you're going to get stressed out, and it's like incredible to have that safety net underneath you, ready to catch you literally at any point. And these people are really well trained and really well versed in what they're trying to do as well. So I mean, Welfare Jesus is like top notch. I've never been part of a better system, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was researching just more into it on the internet, it does seem like you have a very strong support system, maybe in comparison to other colleges. I think, generally most colleges have, welfare teas, but Welfare Week is something that I don't think many do have.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, really important for people who really want to have that strong welfare system when they're thinking about applying to colleges and things. So, Freddie, can you maybe talk a bit more about like other representatives in the JCR that you have? Like, do you have a women's rep, an LGBT?
Yeah, I mean, I should have done a bit of revision before, but we've got, I think, pretty much every rep. There's E&E, which is like environment and equal ops, I think. I can't remember. There is, believe there is a women's rep. I believe there is. Of course, there's an LGBTQIA plus rep. There is traditional executive roles as well. We haven't got any of those kind of eccentric reps that like do random stuff like cake or stuff or whatever. Yeah. I think we're pretty, controversial, but we stay clear of all that business. I think most of our reps are based on like, we've got a great access team. Like I think there's like 2 or 3 people involved in access. Beyond that, we also have a BME rep who's a friend of mine, who's a great guy, who's trying to also improve access at Jesus. Apart from that, I wouldn't be able to actually tell you. I mean, sports rep, apart from all the kind of basic, normal, straightforward positions, like if there's something extracurricular and you do it, then there's scope for you to make that a representative position in the JCR if it's not already one. Like if you're into it, there's definitely space to run for it. I mean, you've got your ENT stuff as well, like ENTs and was it social sec for college as well. So even if you just want to party, like if that's your thing, like you could, if that's your bag, like you could go and do that and be part of the JCR. Like they're so supportive of anybody, regardless of like what your like interests are. Like we've got I run a society at Oxford, and like we have reps in colleges now as well. I mean, they're not necessarily official JCR reps, but literally like anybody can be a rep for like JCR, for your JCR, for your college. It just matters what you're involved in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you spoke a bit about party rep. It kind of brings me to like just Jesus bops and things. What's your experience with them, and have you had like a favorite one this year?
Jesus bops. Yeah, some of them were good. Some of them not so much. I mean, the only times that they're never like great is because of like the date that they put them on. So, like if they put them on like a Sunday or something, or like a Saturday, and like you're or like a Friday and you're hungover from the night before, and you've got work the next day, like I would never really want to go to those ones. They'd just be inconvenient. But like there was a Wednesday one we did with Corpus, and I think it was Lincoln. Like we did a three-way bop, which was hosted at a club at Fever. You came to that one, I believe.
I did come to that one.
Yeah, you dressed up for that one. Dynamic duos. I don't really remember much of that night, to be honest with you. It was very forgettable. And
it was a fun night,
but yeah, apparently I don't remember. But yeah, there's a lot of the bops are actually a lot of fun, and it's calm because you get to meet. It's like a great social way just to meet other people like in other years as well. I think one of the best things is probably like the end of term stuff. So like in the end of first term, we had this thing called dinner dance, which is like it's a bit expensive, it's like 45 quid, and you go to a really posh restaurant and like black tie, have a few bottles of wine, champagne, and then a dinner, and then a boogie as well afterwards. And that was a lot of fun. That was at the end of Michaelmas. And then you have a similar one in second term, which is called Cock Dance, where they rent out which they rent out? I think they rent out attic Park End, whatever you want to call it. They rented that out, and that's black tie as well. The phone call. But yeah, so those, like the ends reps of Jesus actually really make it very special, which is sick.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's one thing that also not many colleges arrange. Like, seems like a very fancy formal hall. I mean, could you maybe talk a bit about formal hall and how that works at Jesus as well, if you've been to many?
Yeah, so formals, I actually have never been to a formal in Jesus, but people go all the time. It's like there's like 4 a week, which is quite a lot, or maybe even 5. A lot of them are kind of dominated by the MCR, which is like the postgrads and stuff,
Okay.
master students. But they're meant to be really nice. You get a free one every term as well in Jesus because of access, which is sick. Yeah, but I still managed not to use it. You have to book on in advance. That's one thing I'd say. I remember like me and my mates wanted to book on and it was way too late. So book on in advance. They're loads of fun. It's great as well. You can take like a guest sometimes, or maybe even 2. So if you wanted to take like your parents or something, that'd be sick. That's like a really nice introduction to it. Jesus got like a nice cozy hall as well. It's not one of the bigger ones, but it's definitely one of the nice ones as well. And yeah, we've got a great bar as well. It's worth mentioning. Jesus bar is really nice.
Oh yeah, talk a bit about that.
Yeah, the Jesus bar is sick. So like all the student run bars aren't really made to run to like turn a profit. It's just so that they can just like continue running. So you get a pint of a San Miguel for like £2.80, which is pretty calm. And yeah, we go there every Sunday. We have drinks at the bar, like especially in college, it's just like always there. So we would always just turn up on a Sunday night, have a quiz, the college quiz in the bar. There's also a thing called the UV room, which has got a darts board, which is a lot of fun to pre in as well, even though you're not exactly meant to. You can't bring in your own drinks is the rule. I won't tell you about our activity in response to it. But yeah, Jesus Bar is really, really, really social and really great.
And okay, so you've spoken about the bar. So could you maybe talk a bit more about like the sports facilities that are at Jesus, and if there aren't any, i.e. gym and things, are you part of any of the sports societies in Jesus College?
Yeah. So Jesus does not have a gym, which I found really annoying. But to be honest with you, I actually didn't sign up with a gym at all in Oxford anyway, so I actually didn't find it that annoying. A lot of my mates who do work out signed up to Pure Gym, which you can get on a great deal through the Freshers program. From my knowledge anyway, college gyms are quite limited in terms of their facilities. Some are all right actually, but most of them aren't. So not a big deal there that we're missing one. In terms of other sports stuff, like if there's any sport you play, like there's a team for it. We've got a few of my friends play uni hockey. All my friends play college football. I played college football for the whole of last year. I'm social sec for Jesus football as well next year. So if you're coming to Jesus, I want to play football, let me know. Whilst when I was a part of the football club, it wasn't social. The social atmosphere wasn't really stressed. The current captain and president really wants to change that, and so do I. So we're going to try and make it sports really social. So I'll do like whole club drinks once a term, do crew dates as well. And yeah, I think there's also like ice hockey, which is mad. Like something that like a load of people in Jesus do that, and they love it. So if you're into just like trying out new sports as well, there's so much scope for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I looked at that on the Jesus College JCR, and I found it really strange because I don't actually know where you can play ice hockey. I'm presuming it's like somewhere in Italy or something. Okay, so this brings me on to my final question. So what has been your favorite moment this year at Jesus College? What would you say?
Bro, that's so hard. Oh, probably when we won the Hassan's Cup in Hillary time. We beat, it's like the Plate Cup. It's the second. It's not the real cuppers, but we went to Oxford City FC Stadium, had like a massive piss up, watched the Mighty Greens defeat New College in the final, lifted the trophy, and then had an amazing night out. It was like with all my friends in college as well. Like it was such like a galvanizing moment for all of us. I actually got dropped for that game, so the fact that that's still my favorite moment just speaks volumes to how amazing it was. And yeah, if not that, it would be we did Secret Santa in Michaelmas, which was like jokes as well. And that was just organized all internally, but again, speaks volumes about Jesus Spirit and like all of the people.
Was that everyone in your year, or was
it was just like, that was just my friendship group, but like it was like 25 people who got involved in it, and like it was just such a laugh. Or like maybe the last bridges of each term as well, when we like all went out as a gang, like as a collective, instead of like going off into our various like friendship groups. Those were like too many to count, to be honest with you. I couldn't choose one, and we only got 2 proper terms, so it tells you a lot.
Yeah, very sad, but oh well, there's Michaelmas next year, which hopefully.
Very true. We hope to see you all at 2 meter distance, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to go on with that. Anyway, Freddie, thanks so much for your time today and for
no worries. So
a brilliant insight to Jesus College at Oxford.